If you've ever forged a leaf, you've probably had a crack in it, so this video is for you. If you want to know how to get rid of them cracks and how to forge a leaf to prevent them cracks, and what I'm going to do is show you how I forge a leaf that creates a crack, and then I'm going to show you how to forge a leaf to prevent the cracking. It's so simple, it's such a simple way. And also I'm going to do a cross section of the leaf to show you the crack and to show you how to prevent further cracking. Short sharp taper on two sides, so you're going to go taper, 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 90 degrees, taper, taper, taper. Now it doesn't have to be very pretty, just a short sharp taper. So you get to that stage. So now this is the next stage that I want to address, is most people will come down here and you've got your straight edge on the back and your tapers on either side. And then they'll come in here and they'll take a cube and they'll go to the far side of the anvil. That's the key. And then they'll hit down on one side, turn it 90 degrees, and they'll hit down on the other side, keeping your hand up so you've got an angle. And then they'll hit down. And they'll keep hitting. To isolate that material. And they'll do it. And I'm using bigger stock to exaggerate this, so that you can see it cleaner. Okay, now they've isolated their stock, as you can see, and I'll zoom you in now. So now you have this isolated mass on the end of the bar. This is good for a leaf, but most of the time people that make these sort of leaves, they'll get cracking around the base of the leaf. And this is why. It's isolated, yeah, but you're such a sharp transition that you're always going to have a crack. Even if you can't see it, you're still going to have it there. So what most people would do now is they'll forge this bit out to the stem, and then they'll have this, and then they'll whack straight down on this, and I'll show you exactly what it's going to do, and you'll probably notice that you have exactly the same results. You've got to keep in mind this is very exaggerated, and then I'm going to show you how I would do it. So most people will bring out the leaf, and they'll put it up, which is right, and they'll hit straight down on it. Now I'm going to stop there, and then I'm going to show you a different angle. So I'll take the scale off. And now you should be able to see that the base of the leaf is starting to fold over on itself. Because you've got such a sharp angle, there's nothing to blend it in. There's no curve in there as such. There is a curve, but there's such a mass on the top. So this would be a big mass up here compared to what your stem was. So what this wants to do is fold, it wants to spread out all ways. So spreading out this way, spreading out that way. But it also wants to spread out this way. And the actual leaf is acting as an anvil. So what it wants to do is come down the stem. This is why you end up with this fold, and it's very difficult to take out of. Unless you rasp it out or you file it out. You could even come in at an angle with the hammer and play around with it. But what you see most people and most leaves, they'll have this same shape. And I'll do it cold just to show you. And you're probably getting exactly the same thing. That's why I'm doing this video. And you'll end up with this line on the bottom. Yeah, you can see that. And what this does is just creates a cut on the inside that you can no longer get to. And it's going to cause a crack. The more you heat it, the more you play with it, the more you forge it, that crack's just going to get deeper and deeper and deeper, because on a molecular level, this is going back and forth, and it's just making the cut deeper and deeper. What I'm going to do is I'm going to carry on with the leaf and make it, shape it, just quickly. So I'll finish the shape, I'll give it a clean up. And I'll straighten. Do a little planish just to bring that centre line up. So I'm not saying this is wrong, because it gives a really nice aesthetic to it with that line, you know, a really nice aesthetic to it. It does give it that really cool effect, but if you're not quick with this, then the more you work it, the more that crack is going to grow and grow and grow. This is what I would call an advanced forging leaf, but it's not strong. It's not structurally strong. Because if I knock that back and forth, then it would break off. But I'm not going to do that, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it down the middle, and you'll see at the end, I'll show you at the end the difference between this leaf and the leaf that I'm going to forge next. The way that I would do it and the way that you might find a little bit easier and a lot less prone to cracking. I'm going to let this cool down, and I'm going to forge the other one. So I'm not going to worry about the stem or anything, because that's not what I'm trying to show. I'm literally just trying to show you the area between this line and how to prevent your cracking. Well, you can see in there slightly that the crack's starting to follow through already. And I've done this in 4 or 5 heats. You know, I've not been sat on this for an hour and whacking it back and forth, because I'm very conscious of how far that crack is going to go, just down to experience of how many leaves I've made throughout the years. But it does look bloody lovely. I really do. I do like the look of it, but it's not right. So next stage, I'm going to forge a leaf fully start to finish, and I'll walk you through exactly what I do. I'll show you the angles, I'll show you the slow-mo of how you can get past this and how you can correct it along the way. So the same as usual, we're just going to put a short, sharp taper on the end of the bar, 2 sides. And then what we're going to do, instead of going to the far side of the anvil, we're going to come to the close side of the anvil. So what we're going to do is find a nice soft edge, so a nice radius edge. And we're going to come and we're going to put it at an angle. And then we're going to come in with the hammer and we're going to hit in line with that piece of steel. Okay, we're not going to try and use the heel of the hammer or the toe of the hammer. We're literally going to come in flat onto it, 45 degrees. Can even go a little bit shallower if you wanted to, but we're just trying to get that softened edge. And then what we're going to do is go to the other side, and I'll show you that in slow motion, because you need to see that in slow motion to know what I'm trying to interpret to you of what is actually happening, because there's a gap and there's a certain motion that it does that you need to do to stop it from folding over on itself and causing that cold shut. So I'll get out of the fire now, I'll give you a wider shot of me hitting it, and I'll explain to you how I hit it as well, so that's a bit more of an in-depth reason to my forging techniques. But what I'm going to do is, I'm not trying to hit the top of the steel. What I'm trying to do is push my hand, I'm trying to hit the floor. That's what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to hit the floor. But I have the piece of steel in the way and I have the anvil in the way. So what I'm aiming for is a point that is way, way down here. But because everything else is in the way, I'm going all the way through it. And that'll give you more inertia on the top, it'll give you more force, and it's a placebo effect as well. That because you're not just trying to tap the surface of the steel, you're going all the way through. You're trying to power through this like it's not even there. So then you get more work done a lot easier. So here we go. short, sharp taper. And the longer this taper is, the longer your leaf will be. I'll straighten it before I put it back in the fire. So got a nice soft edge, nice radiused edge. So you can see this is the flat piece. And then taper that side. Keep an eye on the orientation. Taper going in this way, taper going in this way, taper going down that way. So now with the flat side up and the taper side on the bottom, we're going to take a cube. So imagine, because this is 16mm, we're going to take 16mm. So now you have your cube, okay? Now what we're going to do is we're going to put this back edge onto the radius edge. We're going to come in at an angle, a 45-degree angle, and we're going to hit flat. So we're not up here with the hammer, there's no gap underneath it. We're just going to come straight in. We're going to go bang once, just to set a shoulder. Turn it. Bang, set another shoulder. Turn it back, set another shoulder. Back, continue the shoulder, continue, continue, continue. Until you get this sort of effect. Okay. So that's all you're trying to do, is just trying to isolate it. We're not trying to finish it or anything. And then we'll go to the front edge. This is a little bit slow, but I'm just trying to get it through how I explain it, and you'll see when you come to try this way. Take your cube, 45 degrees, hit it slightly. You can see the indent. Match up your indent. Another indent. Don't worry about rushing this, because if you get this bit right, the rest is right. So I'm still keeping it at 45 degrees. Now you can see what's happening here. So it's not as sharp as if I went straight over the other edge of the anvil. You've still got a transition, but it's not as sharp. If it starts bending up, don't worry, because you want it out of the way anyway, so that's perfect. So now I'm going to leave it after this next hit, and what I'm not going to do is straighten it. I want that nice curve in it. I don't want to straighten it, because this is the next stage that is the most important bit, and this is the bit that I really wanted to show you. So you've got this set up, you've got one side, one indentation the other side. So now what you're going to do, if you can see that gap underneath it, which I hope you can, because that's the whole purpose of it, I'll mark the edges so you can see it a little bit easier. Okay, so this edge here, you can come in here, and what we're going to do is hit down like this But if I hit there like that, then we're going to eat into the leaf, which I don't want to do. So what we got to do is give it a gap underneath it, push this right to the edge as far as you can go, and then back a little bit, and then we're going to hit a half on, half off blow right there. So half of your hammer is over the edge of the anvil, half of it is on the work. So you've still got that gap, you're just on the edge of the anvil, so you're not going to hit the underneath of the leaf. All you're going to do is hit the stem. And you come in here and you do this carefully, and you can hit it once, you can always readjust, hit it again, readjust, hit it again, readjust, until you've pulled enough of this material out here. That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to pull this material out. So you're trying to get rid of this corner here. This corner, we want to mellow it out so that it pulls away, and then you can create a stem without touching any of this leaf, and you'll get a really nice shaped leaf. I'll show you, and I'll show you it in slow motion. What you can do is come in with a fuller, gently tap it, and that'll give you a nice uncrackable transition. And it doesn't matter if you go on the diagonal as well, and just take that out. You can't even round it up like that. That'll give you a lovely transition. So now the next stage is to draw this out and make a nice taper. But what you can see that's different to the other one is this line here. It's a lot more shallow than the other one. The other one was very angled. It was a very 90-degree angle. And then I'll show you, once we've done this taper and we've done the stem, I'll show you an even better way of getting that. So literally leaf over the edge. I'm going to work it from the back side. When I say the back side, I mean the back of the leaf. Whatever you do on the top happens on the underneath, so that's how I'm going to do it. And I'll take this down, I'll take it down to octagon, and then 16 sides, 32 sides, and then round it up. And then I'll show you from there. So now once you've got it all octagoned up, you can come to the front side of the anvil, give it a wire brush, and then put the front side of the leaf onto the anvil with the stem off. Just give it a few taps and it'll tidy that transition right up. And you feel it go solid. I've got the bar at 45 degrees, hammer at 45 degrees. And any bending at all, you want to do that hot at this stage. Remember, we're trying to not get any cracks. So now that is good enough. You can always rasp this off or file it off, file the sharp corners off, and that'll help you also. And then the next stage is to flatten this. And you can already see how much easier it is and how much less of a fold over like the other one. So now it's gonna still act as an anvil, but it's gonna spread in all directions, which is exactly what you want it to do. You can even come in here, hit the back side of the leaf, and that'll give you a nice little flat spot there, just so there's no sharp edges, there's no sharp corners that material can then fold over. That's what you're going for. So now what you want to do, come flat down with the highest point, and just hit down straight on the diamond. So now once you flatten that down, if you can use the round part of your hammer and aim for this section here and this section here, and then hit it straight down. Same with the other side. And that'll pull it out. So imagine you're doing pastry and you're just trying to roll this out. You're trying to roll the mass from the centre to the outside. And then use your flat hammer to do this edge. And do it slowly at first, because if you do it slowly at first, then you've got more control. And then the quicker you are at doing this, the more you do, the quicker you get, easier it becomes, and the less you'll have to keep in control and keep on top of it. So you see the leaf shape starting, but you've still got a lot of mass in there that you can play around with when we're doing the edges at the end. And you need that mass in there, otherwise you're going to have to file it because it just wants to fold on itself. But if you keep the edges thick, you've got a lot more control. So I'll go in then with the middle. And I'm kind of angling, I'm shifting the weight of the hammer that way and that way. Just trying to control where the material goes. Trying to be accurate. Now I'm coming into the stem. We'll leave a high ridge line. And you can tell I've not touched this, I've not really touched this end much because I want to get this established and then I'll follow it up. But I've got a nice ridge line here. And then I'll bring this up, as so. And it'll really create a nice leaf shape. So a wire brush now and then isn't going to hurt it at this stage. I'm working towards the end of the leaf. So now if you want to put your decoration in, you have more than enough mass. So if you want to define your line, you do it at a colder temperature. So this would be a planishing heat. So you can see I've still got a really nice edge, nice thick edge. That side's even thicker. So the edge is still there, and then what you can do is come to the edge of the anvil and work it over the edge of the anvil, like so. You can turn it. Really chase that shape in. You can see I'm doing it cold, doesn't really matter. Just watch the shiny spots. And then I'll go and define my line again. So that's a really nice leaf shape. You got a decent transition here. And you can do all sorts of stuff with that. And I've kept it pretty straight. But on the back side it doesn't look too good. It looks like a leaf, but it's always different to the front. I don't know why, that's just blacksmithing. So now the next heat, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold it up at an angle and I'm going to constantly rotate this. I'm going to hit the edge of the leaf, not very hard, just to shape it. Just so I can get, at the minute, if I want it symmetrical, because this side goes in and that side goes out. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring this edge in slightly, and that will then take this off, because that's going to be resting on the anvil and that's going to be going in. You'll see what I mean, I'll give you a side angle. So now I come to the edge of the anvil and I'll always start here. And always rotate, no matter what you're hitting, always rotate it. Just keep it moving. So I'll do a little bit, I'm not hitting it hard, I think you can hear that. Then I'll go to the other side. I'll do exactly the same. I'll give it a bit of a clean and then I'll flatten it. I should do this on the edge of the anvil, but you won't be able to see it. So come to the edge. But you're not going to be able to see me do it. I'm just going to straighten it slightly. So now that, I would say, would be ready for your veining. Put all your veins in and your decoration now, you've got a bit of thickness. But I'm going to leave it like that, because all I wanted to do is demonstrate this part here to not get the cracks. You can see there's no cracks there. So that would be a structurally sound leaf. And that's it. So the next shots, I'll be cutting this one in half. I'll cut it down the centre and I'll show you the difference in the cross section of what you cannot see, but there is a crack there. So as you can see, I've cut the leaf in half just to get the cross section, and what you'll be able to see is the crack. So this part here, it doesn't look like much, it doesn't look like much of a flaw, but if you notice, I only did it in 5 heats. About 5 heats, and I didn't bend it back and forth much. If I was to bend it back and forth all the time and fiddle about with it a lot, do loads of heats and all different types of work with it, then that crack would probably go all the way through, if not most of the way through. So that's just proving that having this line on the leaf and forging it this way over the far side of the anvil rather than the near side of the anvil creates the crack. So other ways of getting the crack, because sometimes it cracks along here, is literally just bending it back and forth like a pendulum effect. So it's like technically just bending it back and forth, and then it'll crack, and then you've got a weak spot, and the more you heat it and working it cold as well, that causes it as well. So the hotter you can work it, the better. The less amount of bending you can work it, the better. And that will stop you cracking. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you've enjoyed seeing my side of it and my theory on making leaves and my way of correcting the cracking or preventing the cracking. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like the video, give it a thumbs down. If you like this sort of content, there'll be plenty more how-tos like this, and going through problems and making other products. So if you like it, then subscribe. If you don't worry about subscribing. It doesn't really matter. Thanks for joining us, and hope you learned a lot. If you've got anything else to add, then add it in the comments below. If you've learned anything, tell me about it in the comments below, and then other people can read your comment and maybe have a different insight to this way of forging.